Okay, welcome back. This is episode 27 of Golden Screws. This episode is Ladies of the Evening, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna, instead of my usual intro, I'm gonna surprise my co-host this time because really special thing has happened. The numbers are in, and now we can officially say that we are officially worldwide the number 2 Golden Girls watch along podcast on the whole world.
Number 2,
exciting, right?
Who's
that?
That's
pretty impressive.
I'm thrilled. I want to say thanks to all the fans and thanks to you guys
and our patrons
our patrons, of course. Yeah.
I want to make sure, though, those numbers can be deceiving because, I was going to do the disclaimer this week to give people a heads up that tuned in for Golden Screws. It might not be what you think it is, and you can just turn it off now so we don't get hate mail later. Too many of you think this is something else. It's not. It really is about Golden Girls. It's not about any screwing. It's Golden Screws. Right. It's a spin-off podcast. So people... And I'm afraid some of those people might be counting in those numbers, but I'm gonna relish the moment.
I was gonna say maybe the numbers are maybe we get a bunch of new, the newfound fame is gonna get a bunch of new listeners, and it's just gonna kind of go crazy. So anyway, yes. Okay. Without further ado, let's go ahead and fire off the theme song and let's get started. Okay, here we go.
Picture it, Sicily, 1920. Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is full, you're a pal and a confidant. And if you do a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. And if you do a party, invited every motherfucker you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say thank you for being a friend.
All right, and
not to be hyperbolic, but maybe the greatest song ever written, right there.
It's true, and that new version of the theme song from K. John Stewart, when we're going to have a link to that to his YouTube channel in the show notes. Big thanks to him for letting us use that amazing version of this song. So. As always, I'm JN Trax, and joining me as always is Chig and Teflon. How you guys doing today?
Do we talk at the same time?
It works for me.
Yeah, it's episode 20. Okay, so we're into season 2. Excuse me, and things are off to a roaring start. And episode 27. Episode 2 of season 2, 27 of the show. Terry Hughes is back directing. I really feel like we're hitting a stride here. What did you guys think?
I mean, I really liked this episode. I felt like a lot of it was really light and funny, which is what I really enjoyed about it, especially after the somewhat heavy subject matter of the last episode that we did last week, where they were doing the pretty heavy stuff on how it is for women to go through menopause and things like that. So to then transition to an episode like this, which is very light and funny, especially with a great cameo appearance, which we'll talk about. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really great.
See, I thought last week's episode, the fact that they were raising mink to make coats and trying to get them to screw each other overshadowed the whole menopause side story. But, well, that was the main story, but I took it as a side story because I like the idea of minks banging so that people can get more warm coats when they live in frickin' Florida. Everything about the last episode was hilarious, and I was worried that this episode just wouldn't, keep that momentum going. But, oh my God, I was not disappointed.
Yeah, it's like following the the mixtape formula, right? You want to start off strong with your season, but your episode 2, you have to kick it up a notch before you then bring it down, right? And I think we're there. So really excited. Yeah. So let's see. I mean, this is a pretty special one. Betty White has said that this was one of her favorites. That doesn't surprise me. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys do?
This is the introduction of the Butter Queen theme that kind of runs through other episodes through the entirety of the show. So, it is what it is, man. This is classic.
Yeah.
Well, one of the other major things for this episode was, the cameo appearance. I'll just go ahead and throw it out there from Burt Reynolds. Like, he was a movie star, and you didn't really see a whole lot of movie star cameos in TV shows back then. And that was the first major cameo in the show's history up to that point. And it really got a lot of attention on the show. And I've also read quotes that, there was, because of Betty White's connection with Hollywood from her past, she would always hear about other celebrities that were watching the show, and she would tell the cast members, and they would always be like, wow, they're watching us. And then, so Burt Reynolds, being a major movie star at the time, was really a big get for them, and it really helped put the show on the map to elevate it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, was he promoting an actual movie, or are we going to talk about that when we get to that part of the show?
I mean, I was going to ask when we get there's a point here where I'm like, this feels like, maybe we should just get into it, I guess. I don't know. But there is a point where it sort of feels like that, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. But I also want to mention that we've always been told we need more Burt Reynolds being mentioned. So that this is golden for us.
That's true. That's true here on the podcast. Uncredited, Burt Reynolds uncredited in the episode, interestingly, which I think is like, I don't know, maybe we're on the edge of, this is 1986, we're on the edge of when that sort of thing, like you're saying, was just starting to happen. Maybe nobody had
what year?
1986.
No, 3906. Wait, I'm mixing up my podcast. No, carry on.
I don't know what you're
having
talking
a stroke.
Again.
Do you smell toast?
I always smell toast is the problem.
All right. Well, we may as well kick it off then. So just like all great writing, as far as I'm concerned, the whole thing starts in the middle of a scene. I mean, why, you don't need exposition if you have good writing to back it up. So here we are, we start off and we're at the house, and here's the exterminator, played by Phil Rubenstein. And he's going down this whole, he's got this whole, one of these classic monologues of all the, so many words and everything, and he's saying everything so fast and all these crazy names and everything, just right off the top. Don't introduce the character. They don't do any of this stuff. They just let you figure it out, which is something that I think is missed in a lot of lesser television. And
what's golden yet again about it is it really highlights, Blanche's ability. No, not Blanche. Sorry. B. Arthur's character. Dorothy's ability to be snarky, and then Rose's ability to just completely miss the joke, but it's her own joke in stride. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, they're bouncing back and forth. I noticed in the middle of the exterminator's whole spiel there, he mispronounces cursory. When he's saying all these complicated words, he messes up like one of the easier ones. And I'm finding myself like, I mean, this guy's doing a pretty good job. He's clearly putting a lot into it, but he ends up looking like a complete amateur, next to the other two in the scene who are, national treasures.
Yes. He did a good job though. He fit good. I mean, it was a great opening.
I just love the kind of joke though, where he uses these long descriptive words to describe these things. And it's like, you need to look under the house. Well, anyone can make it sound stupid. Like,
yeah, exactly. I know.
So
it's
good.
So fun. And and then so there we are. We set the scene. The exterminator's doing the thing. They're a little disappointed, and then in bursts Blanche, right? And she's all in a huff. she's won the raffle to a private party with Burt Reynolds, I guess post premiere of a new movie with Burt Reynolds, and they're all freaking out. And then of course Sophia comes in, and right off the top, classic sex gag, Golden Girls being golden.
Every time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, well, where do we go from here? Obviously, Sophia's mad. They don't have a ticket for her. And this is where, the next section, they go into this whole business about mentioning how great Burt Reynolds is, how sexy Burt Reynolds is, and all this stuff. And I this is when I find myself thinking like, okay, so we're actually doing like product placement, and the product is Burt Reynolds, right? It feels like that. It feels like he's coming on a talk show to promote his latest thing. I mean, did he have something coming out at this time?
I actually thought about that, and so I was looking at it. It looks like this. So this episode came out in October of 1986, and it looks like the closest thing to that was he had a movie that came out in January of 1986. But he also had what was a more popular movie come out right after that. I think it premiered in 1986, but the release shows that it came out actually at the beginning of 87, called Heat.
Okay. So we could see this as promo for Heat. Yeah.
You could. He did have a movie coming out right after this, and obviously, people who've seen this would eventually, would start seeing trailers for Heat. So,
and this isn't the Robert De Niro Al Pacino Heat. This is the like 10 years earlier Heat with Burt Reynolds, and I don't remember seeing that movie.
They failed.
I should have grabbed a clip for the trailer. Heat. Reynolds plays an ex-soldier of fortune-ish character in Vegas, taking chaperone jobs, fighting with the mob, and trying to get enough money together to move to Venice, Italy.
Wait a minute, chaperone jobs? Is that escorting hookers or what?
It's taking chaperone in quotes jobs.
Interesting. Well, that kind of fits the theme of this episode a little bit then, maybe. I'm not sure. Okay.
Hey,
Burt Reynolds brings it with him.
Wow. I love it.
Oh my God. Okay. So they're freaking out. They basically do the whole rundown of a bunch of stuff that Burt Reynolds was in. It's very praisey and stuff like that. So the exterminator comes back, and of course he thinks it's about him. So he gets his little his sex joke in there, I guess.
Wearing tight coveralls. And
right, exactly.
He is a robust man.
Weren't they cheering about the different actors that they said were going to be at the party? I remember Lonnie Anderson, who was a very big movie star at the time.
Yeah. Ernest Borgnine, did they mention him? Was he one of the actors? They were mentioning a bunch of actors.
And
then one actor they mentioned.
There's another scene later, though, where sorry, I should say Rose was later at the hotel. Rose is running down some people that are going to be at the party. I wonder if I'm getting those scenes mixed up, but
I think you might be, because it was earlier. It was at that point where they were talking about who else might be there, I thought. Or maybe it was at the hotel and they were mentioning it. Yeah, she was reading it. I know which scene you're talking about. Rose was reading the list of who was going to be there, and they were getting excited. And then, like, the one actor, there was a joke that went over my head because I didn't know who that actor was that they didn't get excited about.
Riley. Yeah. So she's listening, and they're all cheering, and Charles Nelson Riley and nothing. And she repeats it like 3 times.
Yep. And it still was just
gets
completely
nothing.
Quiet. That's right.
Oh, my God. So
Charles Nelson Riley also was in a movie that came out in 1986.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was called Body Slam.
Oh wow.
Okay.
And he wasn't the star, but he was in it.
He was in it. Okay. Well. So anyway, they're carrying on. The exterminator tells them they've got to move out. Right. He's got to basically bomb the whole house. And Blanche decides, we're going to make a weekend out of this party. We're going to go find a hotel. She says, find a hotel on the beach that they can afford. Right. Foreshadowing. And then Sophia comes in to be mad again. And I noticed that she seems to be holding a slice of pizza that looks like it's cardboard. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm assuming stage pizza. It's like the most, I don't know. I feel like it just fed into the, I mean, I guess we'll say bad special effects, but it feeds into the whole thing where she's just trash that they all shit on.
Yeah.
She's like over there, like reheating a slice of pizza while they're like, we're going to go to a hotel on the beach. So,
Meet all these
anyway.
movie stars.
Right, exactly.
Like, oh, I get to go. I don't have to stay and get gassed with the termites.
Gassed with the That's right. That's what it was. Gassed with the termites.
So, as usual, she just steals the episode every time. Estelle Getty, she's the bomb.
Yeah. She basically like comes in at the end of any scene and just finishes it.
She does the final punchline to every joke.
Well, she actually starts our next scene. So next we're setting up in the hotel room, and let's see. So Sophia and Dorothy are there. Sophia being mopey, and Dorothy's trying to make her feel better, sort of. And Blanche comes in, and they immediately go back to ignoring Sophia. And they're all just daydreaming about the party. And
yeah, but you missed the joke about Nixon being just a lump of plastic.
Well, no, I was getting to that. They're daydreaming about the party, and they're talking about the other fun parties they've been to. And Blanche starts talking about how she danced with the president while wearing this dress. And they have a bunch of president jokes and spend a bunch of time, digging on Richard Nixon. Apparently, in 1986, very popular guy to dig on. I couldn't imagine why.
Yeah, I know, right? It was. I mean, what did she say? He looks like a dress-up doll with lumps of plastic hiding the.
Yeah, it was like a Ken doll or something. Is the impression I got. I don't think she said Ken doll, but yeah.
But
ridiculous.
By president, she meant president of the Chamber of Commerce.
It was like her town or something. Yeah, it was like something like that.
Oh my God.
And then of course she says he dies. People are always dying in this show. Do you notice, like, if you ever look down, like, well, we've been going through it all, but it's like, how many of these episodes involve somebody dying? It's uncanny. Anyway, we found we're landing on one of the few that doesn't have any deaths.
Well, not everybody lives as long as Nurgle lives. So, the show's about older people, so it only makes sense.
Well, speaking of age, like you guys know that Betty White was the older of these four actresses, right?
Doesn't look it though.
Yeah, no. I mean, she was born 4 months before B. Arthur, and Estelle Getty was then born a year later than those two, and Rue McClanahan was born 9 years after that.
Wow.
So Betty White was not only the oldest, but she also lived longer than all.
Outlived everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about that before on the show, haven't we?
I'm pretty sure we did it in our first episode.
You can't talk too much about how the great Betty White.
Yeah. Amen.
You can't overdo it. You can't overdo it.
Yeah, I agree. Would you do her? Not now, but at the time of this show. I'd do her now, out of respect.
I guess
theme of the episode is God. I mean,
I'd pay to do it with her now.
All right. We'll get back to that a little later on in the episode.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Nurgle was probably in high school around the time Betty White was born back in 1922.
I'm pretty sure he could be her father.
We should ask him about that.
We should.
And he's not here tonight because he had to go to bed. Just to let you guys know, we usually record this before the early bird deals so that he can participate. But tonight we had stuff going on, so we had to record the show after 7 p.m. So he'll be back next week. We're going to get back to our normal schedule.
Absolutely.
Wishing him well, and hope he's able to get his cane fixed.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate incident. We'll let him talk about that next week.
Sure.
I'm gonna get that squeak out of his walker too.
That was his hip.
Oh,
What a chump not being here to defend himself.
I know, this was perfect. I'll do
Anyway.
my perfect nerd limitation. Thanks, Jake.
That is really perfect, actually.
I know, pretty good.
Okay. So we're in the hotel. They're excited. We're digging on Richard Nixon. Rose comes in. She's just discovered who's going to be at the party, and she's going down all these celebrities. This is when we have the Charles Nelson Riley joke. And then, oh gosh, I'm forgetting it now. Who the last person she mentions though? Blanche starts to lose her mind about how sexy this guy is, right? And almost sets off the smoke detector. God, I didn't write it down. Oh well.
Oh.
He's trying to get there.
Oh, hold on. No, I'm at the Nelson Riley joke, and now Forsyth. Tom Forsyth.
All right.
She loses her shit over him. Who is that?
I don't know who that is. I don't know who
John
that is.
Forsythe?
Listen,
John Forsythe.
I was
Who is
3
that?
years old in 1986. I don't know who that is.
1986.
John Forsyth.
John Forsythe. He was a major actor.
Yeah, he's kind of a
Awesome.
handsome fella.
Well, hold on, because I have his IMDb right here. So
I've got his
let's
Wikipedia
see.
right here.
he was on Dynasty.
He was Charles from Charlie's Angels, so he was Charlie.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he was
All right.
he was a major TV actor at the time. Like Burt Reynolds was a major movie actor. In fact, actually, Blanche mentioned that too. She said, Burt Reynolds is the sexiest
movie
man in
stars
the movies,
and TV stars.
Forsythe
That's
and John
right.
Forsythe was the sexiest one on TV.
That's right.
He was
That's
he was
it.
also in Scrooged. Let's see what else. Yeah, Charlie, where you mentioned. He's in a lot of movies.
He graduated from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I know that we wanted to get that in depth on one actor randomly named in this
Oh,
episode.
an actor named not in the episode.
Yep.
All right.
He was
So-
in Dynasty, which also was running at this time. So because that ran from 1981 to 1989.
So they were pulling good names. This the back scratching was going all the way around.
Yes.
Well,
Everywhere.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So Blanche Neary sets off the smoke detector because of this chap. And then the phone rings for Rose, and she starts trying to get talked out of her ticket and discovers, of course, that it's Sophia in the other room.
Told that she won Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yeah,
She's at
yeah.
a hotel.
I noticed in this scene, because I sort of watched through most of this a couple of times while I was making notes. And there's this where she turns around, she holds her hand over the phone, right? Like, I think this is Sophia, like to everybody, because she's, Rose is always the last one to catch on to the joke or whatever. But in that line, there's like this echo from some other mic on the stage or something like that. That's like a little late. And I'm thinking like, man, they probably whipped through these shows like in front of a live audience so fast compared to the way they would shoot a sitcom today. They just do it. These ladies are laying down their performances. It's probably like first, second take, most of this stuff. And they're flawless. I can't get over it. I'm just still like 27 episodes in, and I'm still going like I'm not like saying TV's bad now. It's just they were shooting this all on film. You know what I mean? It's like everything had to be like on such I don't know. I'm just imagining it.
There's a reason we're doing a podcast about this, because we are just amazed by what they did and smitten with the ladies themselves, to tell you the truth.
So I hear a little audio problem, and I'm thinking like, that's the one, right? Like I've heard this one little thing in all of this stuff. I just can't believe it.
And you're thinking of the amazing digital tools you'd have today to try to fix that, and you're like, I wouldn't even know where to begin back then.
Right. Okay. So now we're going to change scenes. We're going down to the front desk of the hotel, front desk and restaurant.
Jokes ever.
And the guy right off the top, once again, we're starting in the middle of the scene. There's the hotel manager. There's the couple coming up to the desk. What room can I have? And he's like, you can have this room. Here's how much. And here's how much for the lady.
Yeah, the room is 50, the lady's 100, and make it quick. We're not running a hotel here.
Yeah, just let's not mince any words. Let's tell you exactly what the fuck is going on.
It's awesome. Good stuff.
Unbelievable. So then they arrive at the front there just after the audience gets revealed to what's going on, and Blanche mentions that this hotel was fantastic and in their price range, and because she picked it because it had the most men in the lobby. Because the show, as we keep saying, it's nonstop sex jokes.
Yep, constant. Yep,
start to finish. Okay, so Blanche wants a quick drink in the bar, and so the plot advances, and we go over, and now we have these three guys join them, and they our ladies are excited to have interest. This man's undressing me with his eyes. Oh no, he's not done yet, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But not all is going exactly as they're imagining, is it?
Yeah, because they have no idea that they're in a hotel that's basically a place for guys to go to get prostitutes.
Basically a brothel.
Yep.
Yeah, they have no idea that guy selling rooms is basically a pimp.
A pimp. Yeah.
Well, even the jokes where the guy's like, "I'm John from Kenosha," and she goes, "I know a John from Kenosha." You know, a John. It's just fucking hilarious.
It's like,
I bet you know a lot of Johns.
That's it.
It's so good. Well, I mean, even the one guy's name is Carl, and Carl's line is, "Let's go upstairs and do the 3 R's: rest, relaxation, and ring around the bed."
Because she says she's a teacher, right?
Yes.
Dorothy says she's a teacher, and he's like, "Oh, you can teach me." Or that's what it was. She's a great teacher. Everyone she's been with, everyone who's had her, learns so much. That's what the line was. Everyone who's had her learned so much, and they're all just like frothing at the mouth.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Everybody who's had her says she's great.
And then, of course, plenty more vehicles for Rose to not catch on.
Yeah.
Yep.
She has
Third
no
time
idea.
already. All right. And that brings us up to the commercial break in the show, which means it brings us up to our commercial break right here.
Perfect.
And so a quick break for our hosts while we listen to this commercial news broadcast.
Breaking news special report, pre-recorded live from the Tinhadian Express. We go now to our man on the street, Charles, with the latest details of today's events on Earth. Charles.
Thanks, Bart. I've talked to several people regarding the incident. Here's what they've had to say.
I saw their bodies tossed skyward, like ragdolls thrown into the air by the late great Andre the Giant. I don't know. They appeared to be weightless, hitting zero-G like the fearless crew of a forgotten Apollo mission, whose only objective was to obtain a beef and cheddar classic and return home to Kathleen Quinlan safe before sundown. I don't know.
All of a sudden, I was just minding my own business. Bam! Hit me hard right from the back. I was glued to my seat. I was like, whoa! I could see the car in front of me. I was about to hit him, so I kind of veered off this way. As I veered off this way, the guy who hit me veered off that other way, and he hit the curb, flipped over, rolled over, run into the electrical pole, and I didn't know he hit the pole. All of a sudden, I kind of stopped, and I was like, whoa! And the wires come down, boom, and then arc, bam, that fire was coming everywhere. It was arcing, sparking, blowing up.
Something ain't right. I said, oh man. She said, oh man, the building is on fire. I said, no, what? I got my 3 kids and we bounced out. We ain't gonna be in no fire, not today.
Then I start to taste them. I say, and then I start to smell them. So it's like a smell that tastes like other. So I knew something was wrong. I knew something special about it.
Obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
I thought perhaps the end of days was upon us, but it turned out it was just a disoriented old lady in a champagne-colored Toyota Avalon, crashing into my world like DNB circa 1996. Who's got their claws in you, my friend? Into your heart I'll beat again.
The lady didn't run fast as a man, so I shot her in the back twice. She's dead, and they told her off, but he got away. She says, don't shoot me, I'm pregnant with a baby, and I shot her anyway.
Part of me wishes I'd been hit by that car instead.
Bam!
A look of elderly bloodlust spread across her wrinkled face, and it made me dare to think perhaps this was no accident. Perchance she was compelled to steer her beige battering ram into the house that Beef built, driven not by force of this earth, but of an earth below. An earth that mirrors ours in almost every way, except the reflections are so much darker that many miles down. Some know the reflected realm to be the netherworld. Others know it as the abyss. I know it as the shadow zone. A world where the blackness of our sin stares back at us and merely laughs. Ha 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 ha. A world where God's law governs no man. A world where there is no literal or figurative Mr. Belvedere given any authority to teach us right from wrong. A world where we are loosed and given leathery wings charred like brisket to soar high above the judgment of the well-pressed, dry-clean, shift-managing elite. A world where I am elevated to my true pagan animal form and I take flight, known only as the winged demon, Dead Dreadmore. And I fly high above the puritanical regime, anointed by the oil of our beast lord, singing, I'm the king of the castle, and you're the dirty rascal. Crash into me, crash into me. I don't know. Arby's is pretty cool.
Back to you, Bard.
Wow, that's all very shocking. Thanks, Charles. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
And that's why they call Bard the Oracle. I love how many of his reoccurring characters he's able to bring back into these news broadcasts. Anyway, just great job. And obviously very funny recurring gag where technically we're the ad break from his thing, even though we say he's the ad break from our thing. Anyway, I'm loving how this is all coming together.
I like how he's like a miniature podcast within a podcast.
Yeah. It's just podcasts all the way down.
I like how he's just a full-on fucking lunatic, man. That was good stuff right there.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're back. I realized partway through that technically the cops actually burst into the restaurant before the ad break, don't they?
They do.
So the cops burst in, everyone in here is under arrest, and then we go to ad break. But it's because then we've got another one of these great TV moments where you just effortlessly reintroduce after the commercial break. You know what I mean? You don't get this sort of stuff in television nowadays, but here we go. We come back from the commercial break and, here we are. The cops like, everybody over here, please wait for they're going to cuff you soon and all this other stuff, basically reminding us what's going on. And then Rose starts to catch on. Finally.
I think we're going to jail.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving this Rose monologue like about an 8.5. It's one of her best. She's simultaneously naive, but also thinking of the most crazy, ridiculous shit that's going to happen to her. Is this whole thing about how her life, is going to change after she goes to jail and she's going to have to run and all this crazy shit happens.
And she ends up riddled with bullets. That's what she says.
It's the most amazing thing. Like, it would play on any TV show today. Like, it would be right at home. And she nailed, this is what I'm talking about earlier with the poor guy playing the exterminator who he's given a big spiel to give, and just, you can't deliver it like Betty White. You can't.
No, it's genius.
You look like a fool if you try. Yeah.
Legend in her own time.
The legend.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So anyway, it's going to happen. They get arrested. Okay. So what happens? So Dorothy's going to take charge, as she often does. So she's going to go try to talk her way out of it. Does that go well, guys?
No.
No, of course not.
Cop definitely thinks that he's being propositioned by a hooker.
Yeah.
I'm being made man. But we're going to meet Burt Reynolds. Don't you bring Burt's good name into this.
Wait, he's like, I'm a married man. He's like sort of laughing it off until she brings up Burt Reynolds, and he's
Then
like,
he
don't
gets
you
pissed.
talk about American hero Burt Reynolds.
She's lucky she didn't
Dare
get
bring
beat.
Burt's name into this.
I was expecting police brutality at that point.
Okay, time for a scene change. So now we're in jail.
Yes.
And let's see what's going on. Rose is worried about her hometown.
Finding out, yeah. And
Yep.
St. Olaf's investigative reporting is the best.
I know. This is that naivety again. Like, it's just fantastic. So then we've got, so Blanche decides, well, I'm going to take care of business. So she is going to try to sweet talk the guard. She starts flirting with the guard. She says she needs, they're just helpless females who need a big, strong man.
And the guard turns around and it's a woman.
It's a woman.
I love how she pivots, though. Yeah. Love your earrings.
Oh, great. So we're there. That didn't work. So everyone's shouting at each other. There's almost a fight.
Well, that's hilarious too.
I know, it's almost a fight. We're gonna have a fist fight right now, and they're all shocked. And I'm watching B. Arthur in this scene, and she's acting all afraid like all of them. And then it's her moment, right? She's gonna I'm gonna fix this, and she gets all
Blanche
big voice and alpha.
Keep in mind, they're in a cell with a bunch of ladies of the night, right?
Yeah.
And she calls them gutter trash.
No, she can't help herself.
She just can't help herself. And then the one now, just because, the world we live in now is different from then, but the one that they end up fighting with is like the one person of color in the whole cell is the person who ends up being a fight with. And because everyone's so hypersensitive to this these days, you wouldn't think anything of it. But oh my God, then this woman comes down to, kick Blanche's ass, and I'll let you go from there.
Right. Well, okay, so then she here's what's going to happen. She steps up with the teacher voice, basically. And I was in, my God, I didn't write Attica. I was in Attica. Yep. You're not as tough as me. I was in Attica. And she's like, that's a men's prison. Yeah, I know. They didn't find out until I was there for 2 years or something like that.
She said, I was there a year before they found out.
And then so that diffuses the fight. She's clearly tougher than anybody.
She was there a year before they found out. Think about that, though. If any of them, that's the one that I wouldn't fight. she's got broader shoulders than most men I know. All men I know, probably.
Attica, and in case you guys or any of the listeners don't know, Attica, I know they say it was a men's prison. It was a maximum security prison in New York, in the town of Attica at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, isn't it there's a Pacino movie where he Chance Attica, isn't it? Is it a Serpico? Maybe, I'm not sure. There is an Attica
movie.
Oh, is it? There's that Chance. It's a classic line. Charlie does it on It's Always Sunny at Philadelphia one time.
It's about because there was a big prison riot in Attica. 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that's what the movie is about.
Right.
Oh, it's a line. It was from Pacino in the movie Dog Day Afternoon. He starts chanting Attica. So I just thought I'd bring that up. That was completely random. I know, off topic, but I knew the actor and I knew the line, but I didn't know which movie. So
right on. Okay, so more discussion in the prison cell, and the phrase career oriented. So basically, So we're basically everybody's kind of continuing to argue, and one of the hookers is like, "What's wrong with being career oriented?" Because they never do anything else.
Right.
Which is a comeback to one of their classic sex gags, because everything's a sex gag in this show.
This show has a bunch of hookers in it, so it fits perfect.
And so they're like, well, of course, they're just taking it totally seriously. Also, interesting trivia. the hooker who says the career-oriented line is played by Rue McClanahan's niece.
Oh, neat. I didn't know
Kincaid. Yeah, so nepotism in Hollywood, still not dead.
Well,
I'm not critical of that. I just think it's trying to be
This was also like 40 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Feels like yesterday.
And then we get yet another delicious Rose monologue, full of tongue twisters. She is a legend, Betty White. Unstoppable.
Yeah, she's a force of nature. Honestly, I absolutely. And this episode really, really shows that. I'm with you.
It's all about her her childhood when she was trying to become Butter Queen.
Butter Queen. Yeah, and so that spurs on also this hooker called Meg is going to kind of make friends with her. She says she's also from Minnesota. Meg, played by Rhonda Aldrich.
Yeah,
Aldrich.
Yeah, Rose is from St. Olaf, and this woman was from another Saint city who was right. What was it? St. Gustav?
St. Gustav, the sister city.
The sister
which
city
is brought,
to St. Olaf.
It makes several apperances too in the show over time.
Okay.
She talks about it.
Talks about it a lot. Anybody catch the obviously New York accent from Meg from Minnesota?
Yeah.
It's like,
it sounds like you're from Minnesota.
They let it go.
I mean, I wouldn't say Chig sounds like he's from Minnesota, but he also doesn't sound like he's from New York either.
No, but right. But if you're going to be in a TV show, you're going to be like basically the kind of part in a TV show that has one name and a couple of lines, doesn't have a last name. You could at least sort of have the accent you're supposed to have. I mean, she literally mentions being from Minnesota. That's like the point of the scene. She has a New York accent about it. So anyway, then of course Sophia comes, the only one not in jail. Sophia turns up to bail him out.
Yes, she does. And
what happens instead? A savage burn about how nobody would possibly pay for them as hookers.
Yeah, I love that. It's like, Sophia, we're innocent. I know that. I can't believe these dumb cops would think anybody would pay money to sleep with you.
And I am not happy about that joke because I've already been on record saying I would pay for sex.
That's right. That's right. So Sophia comes to bail them out, and of course she wants a ticket to the party. She realizes she holds all the cards, and she demands somebody gives up their ticket. And so they argue for a while, and nobody's going to give up their ticket. So
she leaves them in jail.
Yeah, she tells them, she said, which one? All right, Miss Petrillo, which one are your roommates? They're not here. You would do this. Mom, you would do this to your own flesh and blood? You'll get over it, Dorothy. And if you don't, who cares? I'm going to meet Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, leaves them in jail. I gotta just go back to to the girl from St. Gustav real quick. I had to listen to that again just because I didn't quite catch that before. Yeah, that might as well be Marissa Tomei from My Cousin Vinny with that accent. Jesus Christ.
Right?
Wow.
Exactly. Not a continuity specialist on the set that day, I guess.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. So let's see. So we're in our last scene now. Back at the house. The weekend bombing of the house is over, and we're all back. And Sophia's in the middle of telling story once again, starting in the middle of a scene.
Yep.
Classic, great TV. Sophia's telling stories about meeting Burt and all the other great things that happened at the party. And basically nobody believes her.
Yep.
And they're treating her like shit, like they always do, or they don't want to hear about it. Yeah, either way. We have a nice Sophia burn again on Dorothy about looking bad in something backless.
I will agree. That's probably true. Yep.
Jealousy is a very ugly thing.
Though she does have the
so are
shoulders
you
to
in
hold up
anything
a backless.
Yeah. I like how she's telling them those stories, and then they're complaining like, "You left us in jail," and she's like, "You were out an hour later."
Yeah. Not exactly.
And to be fair, if it was a
criminals.
party and they just got out an hour later, I don't know why they still couldn't go to it.
Well, she grabbed all the tickets out of the hand. I think
that's
they were all
the
in one
thing.
envelope.
I mean, that's true. This is also in the 80s. They couldn't just like text her.
Yeah.
That's right. Nobody had a phone.
Yeah. Wow.
So around then, Meg the hooker stops by to thank Rose because apparently Rose's life was so bad that she didn't want to end up like Rose.
An old hooker.
And so she quit being a hooker and like went back to school or something.
She was going back to her hometown to start over.
To give it another try. Yeah.
Give it another try.
Because she didn't want to be as old as her and still in the business of being a hooker.
Yep.
Yep.
Because nobody still believes they weren't hookers.
Right, exactly. They're all still definitely hookers. And Rose says, I've never felt so good or so cheap in my whole life. And then we've only got one thing left to do in this episode, and that's Burt Reynolds needs to show up.
Well, yeah, Sophia is getting ready, and they're like, "Where are you going?" So I gotta go. I'm going to brunch with Burt. And it's like, Mom, when you have never met any of these people. Now, when will you stop? And then there's there's someone at the door. Yep. You open it up, and it's Burt Reynolds, and say, "Hey, Sophia home?"
and then what's his last line? Which one of these is the tramp? And they all raise their hand.
he says, these roommates you were telling me about? She's like, yep. He said, which one's a slut? And they all three of them.
It's like an I Am Spartacus moment there. Oh, fantastic. So, I mean, this is top 5 episodes for me, of course. I think it definitely.
IMDb gave it a 8.7 out of 10.
Yeah,
they're wrong.
I'll buy it. They're wrong.
It's over 9.
Higher.
Yeah.
I would give it. I'd give it a 9. This is an episode that I really like.
I agree with that.
I feel like there's a lot of really good. I like the really lighthearted comedy stuff. I also like the heavier things to have the more serious themes, but especially the lighthearted comedy things. And a guest star of the level of Burt Reynolds just bumps it up for me as well.
Oh my God, he's so young too.
Oh my God, it's crazy. Yeah,
it was ludicrous. But yeah, I agree. I mean, there's so many episodes where it's like, if you go find a list of the synopses of this episodes and just count how many of them are, and then somebody died. There's just a lot of death in this show, that's what we're finding out. This is one of them that we get away with,
Well, this one is Rose talking about her being riddled with bullets during her one monologue, which really is like the oddest death in I think probably any episode to this point. I approve.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's also a show about a group of women in their twilight years that are still dating.
Yeah.
So it's no surprise that it's gonna have some death, and it treats. I think it treats when there is death in the episodes. I think the show does a good job of treating it appropriately, heavy when it needs to, and lighthearted when it doesn't.
For sure.
I'd be curious with all the actors that were named during the show, how many of them are passed at this point? Because Burt Reynolds is no longer with us. Rose is Betty White's no longer with us. Is John Forsythe still with us? I doubt it. He looked old in the pictures. Yeah.
Lonnie Anderson is.
Okay, Lonnie's still around.
Let's see. Charles
Nelson Riley.
Charles Nelson Riley.
Charles Nelson Riley. Nope, he passed in he passed in 2007.
Jesus Christ, if John Forsythe was still alive, he'd be 105. He died in 2010 at the age of 92.
Ooh.
Wow.
Good life.
Yeah.
And you may not know this about Charles Nelson Riley. Charles Nelson Riley was gay.
I don't care.
You're kidding.
No. He was many years ahead of his time because he was an openly gay person.
Sure.
Back in Hollywood in the day. I mean, he was born in 1931.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he appeared on Johnny Carson. He's done all that stuff.
Right on.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I don't know. We just did a 50-minute episode on a 25-minute show.
Such is our way. Such is our way. Yeah.
amazing.
I mean, that's great. Well, I this was a great one. I guess we need to thank the patrons again. Of course, you know where to find us at patreon.com/loosescrews. And
we didn't wait.
ED. It's loose screwsed because it's past tense because we're talking about.
We didn't do a hard candy of the week.
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot our hard candy of the week.
Old ladies always, have the hard candy in there.
Is it going to be butterscotch like it has been for all 26 of the previous episodes?
No. There's a new candy that just came out here last year.
Oh, really? Tell me about it.
It's becoming really big, called Werther's Originals.
Okay.
But this isn't just a single Werther's. This is a whole bowl of them all stuck together in one clump. So.
I was going to guess root beer barrels.
I love root beer barrels.
So do I.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I think that's a good candy.
Right now.
Now I want root beer by the barrel.
Me too.
All right. Well, thanks, Chig. Thanks, Teflon. And congratulations, guys. Thanks, listeners. Congratulations, guys, on being the number 2 Golden Girls rewatch podcast in the world. I think that's a huge accomplishment.
It is. I'm proud of you. Accomplishment. You know, when you get to number 1, we're going to have some kind of celebration, some kind of like big thing we do. We'll have to start planning something.
I guess it's only fans.
Possible because of the fans and the
That's
listeners.
Right.
And our wonderful patrons.
Yep. And once again, patreon.com/loosescrewsed because it's in the past, like this show. So that's it.
Think about, we're doing a podcast about a show where those people would, if you'd have said, there's going to be a podcast about this, they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What is that?
They would say, I only understood one of those words, and it was this.
Indeed. All right. A good show, guys.
Good show, and we'll just, the theme music will play us out. Thanks again. Thanks again to K. John Stewart. Check out the link to his YouTube channel in the show notes. I'll see you guys next week.
Tracks, thank you for being a friend.
Have a good one.
Thank you, my friends, and we'll see you next week for episode 28. Bye now.
Picture it! Sicily! 1920! Thank you for being